Several things just very quickly. Of course, it has also come to America. Let's not forget the shootings of two young people in Washington, D.C. just a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
They happened to be Israeli embassy staffers, but they were coming out of an event at a Jewish museum in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
D.C., when they were gunned down in cold blood by somebody
Mm-hmm.
screaming "Free Palestine." So yes,
Mm-hmm.
it is here. If you just walk to any synagogue in the US, walk to the synagogues in New York, every single one of them on a high holiday like this has massive police and other protection. Why is that? Because we've allowed this to ferment and grow inside all of our societies.
Mm-hmm.
I've just got to push back on one thing we just heard there about the assimilation thing. It seems to me that if somebody comes to a country like Great Britain and their parents have called them jihad and they have lived their life in the UK, it's quite hard for a country, even that had the best assimilating policies in the world, to assimilate
Mm-hmm.
people named jihad in a community which, to quote somebody I don't like quoting, but the one true thing he's ever said, Mehdi Hassan, the journalist, said 12 years ago in a truthful piece, he said, anti-Semitism among British Muslims is, quote, rife and commonplace. He said, every Muslim reading this will know that what I'm saying is true. He said, quote, it is our dirty little secret. When you see Muslims going through the streets of London for the last 2 years, from the day of October the 7th, 2023, celebrating the massacre of Jews in Israel, calling for jihad on the streets of Britain, when the British police say in response to that, the word jihad can mean lots of things. That's what the Metropolitan Police tweeted out. They said jihad can mean lots of things. It can mean internal spiritual struggle, as if the bearded men on the streets of London calling for jihad were calling for an interpersonal spiritual struggle. We have been insane in countries like Britain in our immigration policies, in our lax vetting policies, in failing to deport people who should never have been in the UK, and much, much more. And the result is you make sure that if you bring in the world's people, you also bring in the world's problems. And that includes there's anti-Semitism in all communities, as there is bigotry from all communities. But the Muslim communities have a particular problem with Jews. And until that is dealt with head on, you will see things like this that happen today happen more and more, and not just in Britain, but in America and elsewhere. We would deal with this if this was right-wing anti-Semitism or neo-Nazi anti-Semitism. Why don't we have the guts to deal with it when it comes from a minority community?
Because the growing in number and power. Douglas Murray, thank you very much. I appreciate your perspective as always. Jimmy Galli.
I mean, here's a question for you all. Just a very simple question that should be pretty easy to answer. Why is it that we have gotten used to Jews needing a huge amount of security whenever there is any sort of Jewish gathering, specifically in synagogues or religious places? What is it? Why are we used to it? And Douglas Murray honestly answers it in an amazing, amazing, amazing piece. As always, Douglas Murray, the absolute genius. Let's watch.